It's week 5 of Texas high school football this Friday night, and there will be lots of great action. The Cover 1 crew is here to break it all down, but first, we have some headlines to run through. I'm Yantis Green, and this is Live. But first, this weekend, the drag boat races are back at Lake Nasworthy. The 2022 Spring Creek Finals kicked off today. Tickets are still on sale, though. Tickets for Saturday and Sunday are $35 per day, or you can purchase a $60 weekend pass. Coolers can be purchased out for a $20 cooler fee, and if that's not enough, they'll also be selling VIP passes, which include food and shaded seats all weekend. Don't miss out on this year's action. Visit San Angelo Live to purchase your tickets today. Also, more developments have come out of the City Hall regarding the animal shelter and that no-kill policy. There is a movement afoot to remove the no-kill initiative at the local animal shelter. City Manager Daniel Valenzuela says that the number of animals needed to be housed at the city facility greatly increased during and immediately following the shutdown of the pandemic. Without the policy to euthanize animals, the number of animals increased to unmanageable levels. Concho Valley Paul's Jenny Wilson thinks otherwise. Earlier this week, Wilson told San Angelo Live what they should do instead of kill dogs. Let's give it a listen.
Because we truly believe that killing pets is not the answer.
Right.
The answer is getting your pet spayed and neutered. Now, we have not just accepted this mandate. We are hoping for some conversations. We are surprised and disappointed that conversations didn't happen before the fact.
Okay.
But here we are. At the end of the month, the population has to be reduced by 30% in September, and then a replication of that in October, another 30%. So shelter management actually has until the end of October to get down to that 125. So we've got a little bit of time, but not much when you consider there's new animals coming in all the time.
The city has given Paws a very short window to get that shelter back to normal levels. For more on this story, check out the exclusive article only on sanangelolive.com. And looking for something fun to do this weekend, a new frozen yogurt shop has opened in downtown San Angelo. San Angelo has previously had a frozen yogurt shop on Knickerbocker called TJ's Frozen Yogurt. It recently closed down, but sisters Sierra Brady and Dakota Heath purchased that equipment and moved it to the business downtown. You can go visit their shop Wednesday through Saturday 11 to 6 and Sunday 12 to 4. Their address is 17 West Beauregard. And the drag boat races are back in town, and they couldn't have had better weather. Over the weekend, high temperatures in the afternoon will remain in the mid-90s with lows overnight in the mid-60s. For tonight's Friday night football, expect temperatures to be around the 90-degree mark at kickoff, and sunset is expected at 7:32 p.m. By the end of the game, temperatures should drop about 10 degrees to around 80. Going into next week, it's looking like it's going to be getting a little bit cooler, with temperatures at the highs ranging in the low 90s all week. As of now, there is still no rain in the forecast. Speaking of Friday Night Lights, the Cover 1 duo of Matt Trammell and James Bellini are here to break down all of the games, and they'll be following this Friday night. But before that, here's a quick message from Tiemann Investments.
I've always known that I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to help students maximize their potential. It's something that I'm good at. But planning for my financial freedom, that's something I leave for a professional. That's why I chose to team up with the advisors at Tiemann Investments. They not only understand me and my goals, but they understand the market, what's important now and in the future. They provided world-class advice right where I am, here in West Texas. Connect with Tiemann Investments to visualize your financial dreams.
Welcome back. It is another episode. It's another week. It's week 5 of the Texas high school football season here, and we have a bunch of good games to go through. But before we get into that, let me go ahead and bring on my co-host here. It's Mr. James Bellini. Bellini, how was your week?
It was a crazy week this week, and it's already week 5 of the football season, man. Can you believe it? It feels like last week we were just starting the show.
I know, and now after tonight, we're gonna be halfway done for some of these teams that aren't gonna make the playoffs. Of course, we're gonna have a bunch of Concho Valley teams make it, week 11, week 12, maybe week 13 and 14, but for sure week 11. So this isn't exactly halfway point, but I mean we're getting to the nitty gritty, and we're kind of figuring out who's what and what's who.
Hey, districts start soon for some. Some teams are starting district this week, and some teams are going to start district next week, right around the corner. And even if you're 0-5 pre-district, if you're 5-0 in district, you make the playoffs. So
exactly.
Yeah, we can definitely see some good football these next couple weeks.
Well, I'm ready for it. And to kick it off, it is a lot of these teams they knocked this game out early in the year for the Central Bobcats. They waited until week 5, but it is homecoming. That's right. It's the Central Bobcats taking on the Abilene Wiley Bulldogs. Bulldogs coming all the way from Abilene to Bobcat Stadium, San Angelo Stadium there. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a dog and cat fight, I guess you could say. But James, what did you think about this matchup going into this week?
I think this matchup's all about Central. Last week we kind of challenged them start hot. If you start hot, you can put up a lot of points. We know you can put up a lot of points, but start hot and you don't have to make up for it. And they did. They played really well last week, got the win, and stats were hard to find on Wiley, but I think it all comes down to Central. If Central can get out in front and hold the lead and take, not chances, but smart risks on defense to get the ball back, you can definitely make a dent.
Last week we saw that secondary really step up. There was 2 interceptions by the Bobcats that led to their 35-12 win over Belton. Right now the Bobcats are 2-2, so we're kind of in that stage where we don't know if they're a good team or a bad team yet. They're right in that middle, but a lot of teams say you want to ride that middle throughout the season. You don't want to get too high before district starts. I think this one right here is going to be one good last test before the Bobcats head on to district play against the Midland Bulldogs next week. James, there's a lot of things here. Tyler Hill has been going crazy on his feet. Doesn't have a lot of at least last week, a lot of yards with his arm. So I guess the real question is the Abilene Wiley Bulldogs going to be able to stop Tyler Hill? Because that right there is what's making this Central team just keep on trucking.
He's dual threat. This offense goes through Tyler Hill. He really does give them the best chance at winning. He's got 704 passing yards, 451 rushing yards, 10 touchdowns on the ground, or 10 touchdowns together. Last week they didn't have Jacob English, so more of their attack came on the ground. They do have a pretty good rushing attack in Brawley with Brawley and Robinson. They have Brawley has 238 yards on the season and 3 touchdowns. Robinson has 143 yards and a touchdown, and that's where this offense really clicks in the rushing game.
They played Abilene Cooper earlier this year. They lost in an overtime match. It was 41-38. It was an incredible game all the way. But I think that game right there is going to kind of show you what this Abilene Bulldog versus Central team is going to play like too. The Bulldogs have always had a great program that has good players and definitely athletic players, and they get their picks of those kids from Abilene. Of course, they're not that big Abilene high school. It's not a 6A anymore, but a big school 5A. But still, the Bulldogs do have a big pool of players to choose from, and they usually get pretty good players. I know they beat me horribly twice in the playoffs back when I was rocking the Lobo uniform. But this will be a huge test for them to see where they are in that little Southwest Conference, if they're going to be at the high end of the pack or the low end of the pack.
Yeah, and they're coming off 2 losses. They won against Brownwood and against Lubbock Monterey, and then they lost against Lubbock Cooper and Stephenville. So they're probably hungry for a win. They're probably trying to get a win, and they're going to play hard. And Central knows that. Central knows there are no easy games at 6A. They're all good games.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and get into it. We asked for our picks from everybody from across all of our correspondents, whether it be Joe or James or me or Chadwick, and this is what they came up with. Me and you, James, we're rocking with the Sikkim, with the orange and blue, the Sikkim Cats. But for Yantis, Joe, and Sam, they're thinking more that Abilene Wiley will have this thing in the bag.
Yeah, like I said, Wiley's stats were hard to find, but they are coming off 2 losses, so they are playing with a little bit of fire. District's around the corner. They probably want to get a win before District get hot at the right time. But Central, Tyler Hill is just playing incredible. Last week there was a run where he split the defenders and they had the angles and he just beat them down the field for like a 70-yard run. The kid is playing out of his mind right now. If you can stop Tyler Hill, which is a tall order for anybody, if you can stop him, you might have a chance, but you've got to stop him, and that's tough.
Yeah, and it's homecoming, so there's a lot of emotions riding for these for the Bobcats because, Tyler Hill, he's a senior this year, so he's not going to get another chance to win a homecoming game. So you got to kind of put that into the perspective too. So that's why I decided to rock with the Bobcats. I'm a firm believer that if this team can fix some things like on the secondary and stuff like that, then we can get things moving along. James, you got anything else on this before we move on?
Yeah, the Bobcats have not had a problem scoring this year, but their defense has given up right around 34 points. And that's what Wiley's putting up every game on average. So let's see your defense stand up and stop Wiley, and let's see Central bring home a win at homecoming.
All right. And that was our first picks. That was from Team and Investment. But also, don't forget that this is brought to you by All-American Chevrolet. Go down there and see the new 2022 Equinox. They got it for 1.9% APR for well-qualified buyers. I'm telling you, All-American Chevrolet of San Angelo is the fun place to buy a car. Whether you're looking for a new one or a trade-in, go down there and see them because they have what you need. All right, James, moving on to our next game. We're going to stay in the Concho Valley. We're going to stay right outside. We're not going to stay in Tom Green County. We're going to go a little bit outside in Runnels County, and that's going to be the matchup that we've really been eyeing this team for a while. They're now looking to go 5-0. That's the Miles Bulldogs. They're taking on the Ozona Lions. Now, Miles, this will be their first 5-0 start in quite a while, but it is very possible when they're going against a 1-3 Ozona team. James, what did you think about when you were looking at this matchup?
I saw that both teams are incredibly young, especially at the playmaker position. Haven Book, the quarterback for Miles, is only a junior. Devin Medina is a sophomore. He's the running back. He's got about 250 yards and 5 touchdowns. Cooper Ellison, the receiver, his brother Carson has 7 touchdowns, but Cooper has 3 touchdowns and 207 yards, and he's a sophomore. And then you go to Ozona, and Hudson Fowler is a sophomore. He's had almost 500 yards passing this year. And Dusty Smith is a junior, and that dude's just all over the place. He's running back, receiver. He's everything they need to be. 235 yards on the ground, 140 yards through the air, 5 touchdowns. This is going to be a really good matchup. Ozona's played some really good teams this year. They got the win last week against Grape Creek. But the weeks before, they played Wink and Mason, and those are 2 really historically good programs.
Yeah, and we saw Mason last week. They have a really good ball club. They put it on Cristobal last week.
Oh yeah, no, but I think this Miles team is really good. I think they have a coach that has the right mindset. And I keep going back to his quote about bad teams not having leaders and great teams having players lead. And in week 2, they fought out like 3 touchdowns down against Sterling City, and they fought out and they won that game. And doing that at the 2A level, that says something to the resolve and just your team in general.
Yeah, so no quit.
Yeah, I'm really happy about this Miles team, and I'm looking forward to seeing them, get things going and get ready for district.
James, we talk about Miles, and it's easy to go ahead and say all those offensive stats because they are playing really good on offense. But one thing that really jumps off the board for me is that the Miles Bulldogs have scored 221 points this year. That's a pretty good number going into week 5. But the number that is absolutely insane, they've only given up 33 points. So that's 221 points for, points against 33. So, the defense on that squad is just playing lights out. They're playing all hats to the football, and you can really tell. And they put it on just about every team they've played. 69-0 against Midland TLCA. Sterling City 40-12. Water Valley 56-0. Winners 56-12. These are scores of not just of teams that are just winning games. These are teams that are dominating games. And I think that's going to kind of show whenever we talk about our picks here in a little bit.
Yeah, you talked about them only giving up 33 points this season. 21 of those came against Sterling City, so they pitched a couple shutouts this year.
Yep.
They're playing good football there. The past couple years, they've been in the same district as Cristobal and El Dorado, and they had those were 2 very good teams the past couple years. And now that they're not in that district, I think Miles is going to play very well, and I think they're going to go somewhere this year.
All right, James, go ahead and let's drop the picks.
All right, drop our picks. All Miles across the board. No shade to Ozona. I think they're going to play a good game, but Miles is the hot hand right now. Wilhelm has Book playing very well. He's got good receivers, good running backs. They're going to be hard to beat. They're going to be a good team.
Absolutely, and no discredit to the Ozona Lions, but man, they're playing a really tough schedule, and when you're getting beat every week, it's kind of hard to pick up that confidence and get on rhythm. But for the Miles Bulldogs, it's the complete opposite. Those guys out there in Reynolds County are playing hard-nosed football. I mean, like I said, only 33 points given up this season, so I would expect the Bulldogs to probably win this one. I'm going to say probably more than 20 points. What do you think, James?
I don't know if it'll be about 20 points, but because Ozona is playing good football. I know that their record might be 1-3, but they have played really good teams, and they have a young team. They have a good core. I'd probably give it to Miles by maybe 2 scores, 10 points, 2 scores, somewhere in there.
All right, so that is our picks for the Miles Ozona game. James, you got anything else you want to throw in there before we pitch it on to the next one?
No, we're ready. Let's move on.
All right, let's move on, guys. Remember, this is brought to you by Angelo Bolt. Look, if your girlfriend's anything like mine, she's got you doing house chores all the time, all the stuff little around the house, hang this cabinet, those kind of things. And where I go every time I need any kind of fasteners or tools or anything like that, that's Angelo Bolt and Industrial Supply. Go see them today at Angelo Bolt. All right, James. Moving on to our next topic here, we got a good. Let me pull this. Sorry. Let me get those picks off there. All right, we have a very good next game here. We're gonna go out to. We're gonna stay in Tom Green County for this. No, that's actually we're not again. Sorry, I'm gonna have to learn my geography here. We're leaving Tom Green County again. But we're just going on the other side. We're going to Sterling County now, as the Sterling City Eagles will be taking on the Ira
Braves.
The Ira Braves. Yeah, the Ira Braves. Sorry about that. So this is going to be a really good matchup here. Two teams that have both been challenged, have both lost games, but have also won games in big styles. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. James, what are you thinking about this one?
I think it's going to be really. This is the first district matchup between these two. First district games for this district. Sterling City, they've been playing really well. Their coach called me back last week, talked about how he needs guys to get healthy, stay healthy. And then I looked at Iran on Max Preps, and they've just been playing very good football this year. Let me see. Prather Schneeman has been all over the place. He's been a quarterback, running back, receiver. Bowman, their quarterback, has been playing very well. I think they have 3 rushers who have over 100 yards, or 4 rushers who have over 100 yards this season so far. They're just playing good football. I think Sterling City is still going to be, they're transitioning out of that 6-man. They do have good play. Tristan Himes is a good, linebacker, fullback. He's going to have his hands full this week. So is Johnny Monreal. They're going to have their hands full there in Sterling City.
Yeah, they will, but I think that this Sterling City team is used to playing these big games. I mean, this is a team that moved up from the 6-man ranks, but was one of the best 6-men in the state on a consistent basis.
Oh yeah.
So these guys are like trained from when they're in 7th grade all the way up to be winners, and this transition from them from that 6-man to 11-man game has been I don't want to say easy, but it's been a good transition for them. They've won 2 of their games. They dropped 2 of them, but I want to make a note of one of those, and that was their very first game. They played Odessa Compass Academy, and they won 68-0. That's right, their very first game of the season, 68-0. You move on a little bit down the road. You move to I believe it was week 3. Yes, Odessa Compass Academy played Ira Ann. Okay, so that's kind of a good comparison. Sterling City won 68-0. Ira Ann actually lost that game to Odessa Compass Academy 14-13. So for me, I'm thinking, if you're going to compare teams like that, right now, I'm going to say the Sterling City Eagles have a very good chance of pulling out a dub in this one.
All right, no, man, you're right. I think it's going to be a really good game. Trey Cisco was actually hired as an 11-man coach there in Sterling City. Then they moved to 6-man, so they learned 6-man on the fly. Now, I just talked about that 6-man mentality of making your tackle and sticking your tackle. And I brought that up to him when we spoke. And he said, and that's a good mentality, but it's also, hey, you have other guys out there around you who can help you make plays.
Absolutely.
I do think they're going to have their hands full with this running game, though. We haven't really seen much of Iran. They've kind of, they're, out there, out west, southwest of us, so down in a hole. They're
yeah, they're in the middle of nowhere out there.
So we haven't seen a whole lot of Iran. So this will be a good matchup to kind of get, a look at a team we haven't seen much of.
All right, and let's go ahead and bring the picks up here. James, you decided to go against the bunch. Lone Wolf here. You went with the Iran Braves. Everyone else on the board went with the Sterling City Eagles. That's how you really win pick'ems, is if you can get that one when everyone else loses. So, James, what makes you confident that the Braves can beat the Eagles tonight?
Man, just looking at their stats and their team. I know stats don't tell the whole story, but Iran has had a really good team in the past, and they're a good team. They've played good teams this year already, and they've played good teams in the past. I'm the lone wolf here. I'm ready for it. I just no shade to Sterling City. Love talking to Trey Cisco. He calls me back, and that's hard to get some coaches to do. Not that it doesn't happen, but he will talk to me, and I'm not trying to shade Sterling City all, but they're transitioning out of 6-man. Let's see them play some district games. Do you think
this is going to be like a real true test for them? Is that why?
Yes.
Is that why you picked it?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a good test for Sterling City. We thought Miles was, and they gave up, a 21-point lead or 14-point lead or something like that. And I'm excited for this one. Yeah, I'm really excited for this one.
It should be a good one. I went off of just kind of who they played and stuff like that. And the Irans dropped their last two against Odessa Compass Academy and Reagan County, both who I know aren't the strongest teams out there. So with that, I just decided, you got to rock with the guys from Sterling City, because they've beaten some of those teams that Iran has lost to, at least Odessa Compass. So, either way, I think it's going to be a dogfight in this one. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, so you guys definitely need to stay tuned. James, you got anything else on this before we move on?
No, I'm ready to move on to Permian.
All right, so our next, but before we do, James, let's go ahead and tell the guys about Edward Jones. Go see Davis Woodfin, the financial advisor. He's over there at 4102 South Jackson Street. Look, Edward Jones is just making sense of investing. Go ahead and give him a call at 325-249-0082. Remember, that's at 4102 South Jackson. Ask for Davis Woodfin. He's a financial advisor at Edward Jones. All right, moving to the next one here, James. It is going to be another good one, and this is going to be kind of our gauge on how the Central Bobcats will be, I'm guessing, when they play not only then the Permian Panthers. That's right. The Permian Panthers are going to be taking on the Abilene Cooper Wildcats, and it is going to be a good one. James, what are you thinking about this one so far?
When I was looking at Permian, they've the last two games they've won. They've only won by 1 point. They played Amarillo Tascosa, who's a really good team, and then they played Harker Heights. I haven't seen much on Harker Heights, but I know Permian is playing really good football this year, and I think Permian's going to be a good team. Their quarterback has 600 yards, 9 touchdowns. Their running back has 278 yards, 2 touchdowns. They got 2 receivers who have over 150. One has 250 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
they're just playing good football there in Permian.
And they're undefeated.
They're undefeated.
They're undefeated.
And
they did not play a cupcake schedule. So
yeah, they've been battle tested there in Permian.
Yeah, and but on the flip side of that, Abilene Cooper, they've also played really good teams. They dropped their first 2 against Keller and Abilene High, but then of course they beat the San Angelo Central Bobcats in an overtime win. That was a 41-38 score. And then last week they go and they play Lubbock Coronado and they beat them 33-28. So Abilene Cooper's on a 2-game win streak. They have a little momentum going into this. I think it's going to be interesting to see how Permian is able to slow down that Abilene Cooper team, because we saw San Angelo Central have a really tough time doing that, slowing them down, not giving up those big plays. And I'll be really interested to see how Permian approaches this, because this is going to be a test to see, really a gauge to see where the Bobcats are in comparison to who honestly is probably expected to win the Little Southwest Conference this year. And if they drop this one, Abilene Cooper, it can give these Bobcats a little bit of a confidence in themselves to think that, hey, we're on that same level as Permian, as Midland Legacy. So I'm really excited for this one. James, I know that we don't get to see Permian a lot, but they run a little bit of a we will tonight, but they run a little bit of a different kind of offense that you normally see in the rest of Texas high school football. They do run a little bit of that triple option, but they throw the ball with it too a little bit. It's very strange, but it's very effective on getting those little bitty things, and then of course they end up playing defense. So I'm excited to see if they can get the stop on defense against the Wildcats.
Yeah, their defense, the Permian defense, has 4 interceptions and 7 fumble recoveries, so they're getting the ball back for their offense there. And the Abilene Cooper quarterback, he's thrown 6 interceptions so far this year. Yeah. I mean, he has almost 1,000 yards. He has a receiver, Avante Ralston, who has 583 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's the go-to guy there. So if you can corral him, you have a pretty good chance at winning there. Another guy I want to give a shout out to. We don't usually talk about offensive linemen because
the Hogs,
they don't step up, or they don't show up on the stat sheet. But Permian has a guy named Harris Sewell who's actually already committed to Clemson, and the dude is like number 4 offensive lineman in the state or the country, or number 16 overall player in the state.
That's the crazy part. It's like, he's number 4. He's the 4th best offensive lineman in the country, right? Is that what you said?
Right. Then, maybe. I think it said country.
But 16th player in Texas, and that's including quarterbacks, receivers, running backs, defensive players,
punters.
And this offensive lineman is number 16 in the whole state, and that is just,
and he's going to come to San Angelo later on this year.
Yeah, so that'll be a good one to see there.
Yeah,
James, are you ready
interested.
to reveal some of those picks?
Absolutely. Let's see who we got.
All right.
I think it's all Permian across the board, right?
Almost. We do have one hater there. Joe Hyde.
Joe had to be different.
Yeah, Joe Hyde had to pick different here. I talked to him a little bit earlier. He's saying, the Abilene Cooper team just maybe too much for Permian, but we'll see what happens. I think this one's, like I said, it'll be a good one. We'll have live highlights from this coming in from our guy Isaiah Garza. James, what made you decide to rock with the Permian Panthers?
I think it's just Permian being who they are. They're a difficult offense to stop. And I think that they're playing good enough defense to keep Cooper off the field. I think they're, to get the ball back for their offense. I think, they're going to play good football. It's not, although let me just say for Cooper, it's not just Ralston. They got Cam Herron out there who's got over 300 yards. So it's going to be a good game. It's going to be tight. Let's see if Permian can put these tight wins behind them and go do what Permian does.
Right, and it's going to be I think it's going to be a slow kind of paced out game, because that's how Permian likes to play it. They've only scored 99 points this year, but they've only given up 62. So their defense is going to be really tough, and it's going to be a real test for them, because this Abilene Cooper offense does like to score. So we will definitely keep an eye out on that and keep you guys updated. All right, before we get to our last game of the night, just remember our one of our sponsors is Double Dave's Pizza. For $12, you can get a medium chicken of the Nashville chicken. That's their pizza of the month for September. It's got crispy, thin crust, ranch, Nashville hot sauce, boneless wings, red onion, cheddar, mozzarella, and bread and butter pickles. You can go see them in the Southwest Plaza Shopping Center at 3526 Knickerbocker Road, or just give them a call, 325-947-3283. All right, moving on to our very last game, and this is one that I am very interested in. This is the one that I was like, hey, we're gonna have to figure out a way. So I hooked us up. I got with some of my old hometown people over there at KLVT. So we'll actually have highlights from the game of Lakeview versus Levelland. James, this is going to be a good one. The Levelland Lobos take it on the Lakeview Chiefs. Lakeview's going all the way down to my hometown of Levelland to see what the Lobos are about.
Yeah, save the best for last, right?
Save the best for last. That's right. It's going to be interesting. We have a completely defeated Levelland Lobo team. Hasn't won a game since week 1 last year. We have a 3-1 Lakeview team that We don't ever see that, so that's a kind of an anomaly in its own. Either way, it's going to be probably a very good game. James, what are you thinking about it?
I looked back at Lakeview on Max Preps, and I couldn't find a 4-1 start, at least in recent memory. They have a good running game there in Lakeview. We got some hate from some Lakeview fans last week when we didn't cover Lakeview the week of their game that they played on Thursday and beat Lubbock last week, and they certainly let us know how upset, even though I had written an article about them, they were pretty upset about the fact that we hadn't written an article yet. But they are playing good football there, and for Lakeview's playing good football. They got 2 good running backs. They got a good defender in Michael Duran, who has 4 interceptions this year. And I think it's going to be too much for the Lobos. Matt, what do you think?
Man, you already know that I cannot do that against my alma mater. No, the Lobos, they've had a rough couple of years. I know last week they had their starting quarterback was out with COVID, but he's back. So that's good to see from them. I went to school with his older brother. His older brother was a good quarterback there. They won a few games. So hopefully, he put a little knowledge in Alexander's head, because you're gonna need it. These Lakeview Chiefs have been playing good as of late, not only on defense, but that offense has been scoring a lot of points. So it's gonna be interesting to see. I went and checked out the JV game last night. Like watching paint dry some points, but at the same time, it was really good to see. Really good to be on a football field. I haven't been out there, so I'm stuck on this thing. But it was really good to see. Both teams playing hard. It's going to be look, Levelland hasn't won a game since a Hail Mary of week 1 last week. That means we are due, James. We are due for a win. And who drops more games that they're expected to win than the Lakeview Chiefs? I mean, come on. If you're begging for a win, I'm thinking maybe this is the time where Levelland gets it done. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Hopefully Lyle Leon, the old Texas Tech Red Raider football player and now the athletic director and head coach for Levelland, can write some things up and get the job done. I don't know, James. That's just what I'm thinking.
Hey, and you talked about Lyle Leon. Not only did he play for the Red Raiders, he also played professionally for the Cowboys. I think they picked him up in free agency, undrafted free agency. So he's seen a lot of football. He's been in those rooms at high levels where you have players breaking down film and everything. So that type of mentality can help the Lobos out. And they have a good running back there. He's got 445 yards. Marco Goyen, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I apologize if that's wrong. But this could be a trap game for Lakeview. You said that they could drop this game, and they dropped a game against Vernon earlier in the year. And I just go out and do what you do, Lakeview. Bring home the win. Go 4-1 and hit district.
And I'm going to say go ahead and do what you do, Lakeview, and that's lose. Please. I'm just begging for one loss, then I hope you win out the rest of the year. And with that, James, I'm going to go ahead and drop our picks for us. And no shocker here, I'm rocking with the Lobos, but also our Bobcat expert, Ryan Chadwick, is saying the Lobos have a chance. Now, he's a Red Raider, so he knows the game. He knows what's up. But James, you on the other hand, along with everybody else, chose the Chiefs. Why?
Well, Ryan's also a Central fan, so he hates Lakeview regardless. Look, I think they have a good running game between Ian Cortez and Ricky Ramirez. They have over 800 yards on the ground. And their passing game's kind of come alive since Isias Salazar. I think he kind of took over there at quarterback. Derek Taylor, Devastian mainly, they've both been playing very well recently. Got a good defense. More pressure on the quarterback wouldn't hurt. But I think they're going to just take this one and run with it. I think Lakeview or Levelland's kind of, still trying to figure out who they are right now.
Yeah.
2 years of that. But.
Yeah. 2, 3 years. Yeah.
Hey, you brought up El Dorado beating Cristobal over the past 4 weeks. So.
Okay, well, it doesn't make me feel any better that I talked to the JV yesterday, and they also haven't won a game in 2 years. So put your L's up, Lobos. Yeah. All right.
Hey, it could be a trap. You got to have that mentality. You get behind some of these games, and you can't come out of it. So Lakeview needs to go with the right mentality, because you think the Lobos are just going to lay down. They're not. They might be 0-4, but they want to win too. They're going to play hard.
They're dying for one, James. They're dying for one. All right, that was all the games that we got to go through. Do you have anything else that you want to just mention before we hit the road?
I didn't want to do this, but yeah, I do. I messed up earlier in the week.
Here's your retraction story.
Yeah, I called the Kermit Yellow Jackets, the Kermit Hornets. And apparently that's a sin against God in Texas. Sorry, I have a lot of teams. If you look at the Cover One page, there's a lot of me on there. I do the football stuff, and
There's a lot of
I
me.
messed up. But when you send emails talking about you didn't read the article first, which is what I noticed. You didn't read the article. El Dorado High School football team. It's sad they're having a terrible year, is what they said. El Dorado's not having a terrible year. They've played some tough teams.
Yeah,
They have. And saying that about kids, come on. Come on. Then you demand an apology for not giving Kermit the credit they deserve. I never attacked Kermit or said anything about Kermit.
They ain't even
at
in
all.
Concho Valley. They ain't even on the 427.
The reason I put El Dorado as the picture of the article is because they're a Concho Valley team. They're one of our teams. We went to Del Rio for them last year.
That's right.
So maybe you should apologize to El Dorado. But for your apology, yeah, I apologize to nobody. If you're going to get in a shootout with me, you better bring a full clip. Because
I apologize to no one.
I apologize to no one. If you have another complaint about an article, you can fill out a complaint form here.
There's 1,100 of them.
There's 1,100 of them. Sincerely yours, James. And if you want to talk about it, go ahead and email me, James at Hyde Interactive. Or if you want me to cover a team or a player that maybe isn't getting enough love, go ahead and email me. And I'll take care of it.
All right, well, this has been the Cover One pregame show. You can check this out every Friday at 4 p.m. We're going to give you all our picks and analysis and everything you need to know before the games start. James, this has been a good one. We've got a lot of stuff going on, and, can't wait to do it again later.
Yeah, I look forward to emails from angry people.
All right. I'm Matt Trammell. That was James Bellini. This is the Cover One crew. We will be back at 8 o'clock with our halftime show. Until